Michael and Gabby, an investigator, told us he believes just about every police agency north of Atlanta is out here right now. We now know that a rookie officer and a veteran were both shot. They're part of the Livonia Police Department. Take a look behind us here. You can see still a lot of flashing lights down here at the scene. This is on Jones Street, also called Georgia Highway 17. It's off of I-85. Gabby and Carol, here's what we know so far. Good news at the moment. No serious injuries. I want to give you a closer look. We're going to walk you closer to what's happening here. Two tow trucks are currently trying to pull this bus off of the embankment. This is on Cleveland Street next to South Pleasantburg Drive and Parkins Mill Court.
Michael and Carol, we're feeling the strongest wind gust since we arrived at Folly Beach at the beginning of our 4 o'clock broadcast. The wind just keeps picking up here. We're getting pelted by sideways rain. The sand is in all this wind. It's pelting us on the face. And a couple of times, photographer Peter Poole had to grab his camera to keep the wind from toppling it over here.
Deputies say the man was spotted walking alongside the road, waving those two swords. We just heard a very loud boom. Just heard a very loud boom. Let's go back to pictures here on the ground. You can see deputies are now moving really quickly. Just heard a very loud boom here on the 3900 block of White Horse Road. We see some K9 dogs down there. Carol and Michael, we are just over 50 yards away from where that person was shot and killed. Now, something very unnerving for you. I think we even heard those deadly gunshots. I want to show you exactly what's happening behind us here right now. Just under maybe 100 people or so are still out here gathered where the protester was shot.
A couple of minutes ago, we also saw some City of Greenville Greenlink buses. They came down to bring some of the evacuees from the low country back up to the upstate.
Welcome back to New Orleans. The Tigers continue to prepare for Alabama in the Sugar Bowl on Monday night. Kelly Bryant will start a college football playoff game for the first time in his career.
Carol, only a handful of people here at the moment, but we do know from Facebook that around 175 people have signed up to come out to tonight's rally.
Boy, what an absolute mess here in North Charleston, Michael and Carol. The wind is whipping, the rain is coming in sideways, and pretty much every street here in the North Charleston area is vacant right now.
Right now, the fire is out, and most of the firefighters have left. However, there are still 2 fire trucks out here, and the firefighters are walking around this building. As you can see, one is walking around right now.
Well, Carol and Gabby, right now people continue to express their frustration across the country and in South Carolina over that travel ban. Brunch here at the Biscuit Head restaurant in Asheville is all about the food, but employees here say the alcohol sold here is also a big part of the experience. The women's conference tournament was the last to be held in this arena 12 years ago. Well, now, with the court going down, it'll be the first to return to the well. Chimney Rock Village is usually packed this time of year, but this place has been a ghost town over the past few days. Take a look out there. The smoke you see back there is because of a wildfire burning not far from these businesses.
Let's go.
Like most 9-year-olds, Keller Nash is at home on the playground. A little banged up.
It's sort of like a boot to protect it.
Toughing it out, but says he still hurts all over.
My foot, my rib, and my cheek.
And above his cheek, that black eye, an unwanted reminder of a scary moment.
Oh my God, this beach is oh crap!
That's an inflatable slide stuck in the power lines at the Springwell Church Festival over the weekend. Keller and 4 other kids were inside a bounce house that was also blown away.
And it tilted up, and I didn't think I could get out in time, so I held onto the rope and it flew up in the air, and I hit and I blacked out and I woke up and I heard sirens.
Deputies say they saw a funnel-like dust cloud sweep through the area. Look closely at this video. People are standing under those power lines, which ended up snapping moments later. A local fire official says a safeguard put in by Duke Energy caused the electricity flowing through these power lines to automatically shut off when that inflatable was blown into the lines.
I think it saved their lives.
Keller's parents weren't there, but they were reunited in the ER with their bloody and bruised 3rd grader.
They started crying and I started crying too.
The Springwell pastors were there at the ER and they prayed with us and they prayed especially for Keller.
Looking back at it all, the family is thankful for those prayers.
God was holding me in his hands during the whole thing.
Corey Davis, WYFF News 4 in Greenville County. hail the size of baseballs in some areas.
Yeah, I was in a bad spot. I mean, I definitely was.
Michael Daniels, a baseball coach at Riverside High School, says he nearly struck out while trying to avoid the storm before a game.
But it was so loud. It was just crazy how loud it was.
Up close, his pickup truck is dented all over.
$5,000 worth of damage.
The side, roof, and hood.
You can definitely see this is where it started hitting a whole bunch when I first started coming out of the parking lot.
Daniels and more than 3,000 State Farm customers filed claims. The company set up a mobile drive-in in the parking lot of the Home Depot on Wade Hampton Boulevard. Allstate Insurance did the same thing. All you do is report a claim online or call in and set up an appointment.
We'll be here as long as it takes to service all our policyholders.
Inspectors will look over your entire vehicle. That takes about an hour. Then they'll write a check right there to cover the damage.
And it was scary. Yeah, I was at home, and it was like super loud.
Daniels' wife, Sherry, was hoping for better news after her inspection.
I just learned that there's extensive damage and that the vehicle is not worth them repairing.
So they totaled it.
So they totaled it.
She gets a smaller check because repairs will be more expensive than her car is now worth.
That was kind of the worst case scenario.
Weather damage is covered under what's called comprehensive coverage. You never know when you might need it. Corey Davis, WYFF News 4 in Greenville County. Late afternoon on the second day of the new year at the Handy Mart in West Greenville, a regular customer bought a drink. Jane Spearman went to ring him up and something caught her eye.
What are you doing? And
So he came around.
he came around my register. He came around the corner in between there and came in and came to the register and started pushing buttons.
She's talking about 28-year-old Brian Turner. So there was a struggle in this small
There was a struggle in this area.
Spearman didn't see a weapon and started swinging a broom. That's how hard you hit him.
Yeah,
And what did he do?
nothing.
Here's everything knocked over during the ordeal. Do you still feel safe to come back to work?
Well, I'm here today.
Spearman says Turner carried the register outside. She took one more swing at him with the broom. Then she says he quickly walked in this direction where two men tackled him in an alleyway. One of those men owns Upstate Event Services.
They asked me to stop somebody that was stealing from them, so I did.
David Revel says Turner tried to break open the cash register in this sink behind a building. He says this is where they held Turner down until police arrived. Investigators say there was $76.81 inside the register. Revel says crimes like this are now uncommon.
And we just want to make sure that the community continues to stay safe.
He says the West Village Art District is changing for the better. Corey Davis, WYFF News 4 in Greenville.
It's in my DNA, it's in my bloodline. What I do is much deeper than a punchline.
Every word written to reach your core.
Grown from crime is the norm.
Telling a story through a lens of his own, all while finishing a doctoral degree at Clemson University. A.D. Carson is now testing the definition of what's acceptable.
What I'm doing is not just a matter of rapping, but like there's a strategy that goes into presenting my work in this particular way.
A hip-hop album recorded in his home studio is the work he'll submit for his dissertation, a project that's usually written, not spoken.
All of the music is it's written beforehand. So, I think that this is not like me avoiding writing, it's actually me writing and doing more.
It's taken more than 3 years. The album is called Owning My Masters, The Rhetorics of Rhymes and Revolutions. 34 songs now going viral, getting hundreds of thousands of views online. Carson, also using his voice in rallies and protests on campus, says all of that has fueled his work.
I don't want it to be something that just kind of sits up on a shelf and nobody reads it. I want people to engage with it. I want people to respond to it and, hopefully be moved by it.
Embracing his voice and standing behind it, recording a message with hopes of continuing to teach in a college classroom.
What I saw is very dangerous.
Last September, while waiting on her children, Ingrid Perez saw a bigger boy hitting a smaller kid on the playground at Lake Forest Elementary.
I saw when he took him and putting him on the floor and then took him again and pushed him.
The bigger boy admitted to the principal that he pushed the other boy to the ground twice and threatened to break his finger. Perez yelled from the car.
I said, stop. and he's not listening. And I'm saying, stop. He's not listening.
She entered the playground. She says she didn't see any teachers nearby.
But very far from the kids, very far.
The district says the area was supervised. Statements in the incident report show that the teachers say they told Perez she wasn't allowed on school grounds. She checked on the smaller boy first.
He's have a very red, his face and his hand.
Then she grabbed the other kid by the arm to report him.
For me, it's bullying.
The teachers say Perez wasn't listening or answering them and took the boy to the principal. After that, Perez thought it was done, but she says she was arrested several days later at Greenville Memorial Hospital. That's where her husband was being treated. She was charged with disturbing schools.
I said, why? I'm just defend a boy. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm just help him.
Colin Metcalf was the boy who was thrown to the ground.
There wasn't hitting, there was just pushing and dragging.
His mother, a school teacher, says Perez did the right thing.
I do think she kept him from being seriously hurt, so yes, I think she had to do it.
The father of the other boy told police he didn't want to file assault charges. His son had no bruises, but he wasn't happy with Perez. She says she's a permanent resident with a green card. She just passed her test for citizenship in December. Now it's on hold.
It's hard. It's very hard because I'm in this country for 28 years.
She doesn't know if she'll ever become an American citizen. The thought of being denied almost too much. With the worry of citizenship, she prepares now for a trial next month. Corey Davis, WYFF News 4 in Greenville County.
1, 2, 3.
This is Emily Truman back in June, days after intensive surgery.
I miss playing softball.
Downtrodden, but with an unshaken faith. Now,
she's a miracle among us. That's the
you'd never know from the outside what she's been through.
Doctors didn't know anything till they put her back together again. We call her our little Humpty Dumpty.
It's just sometimes the weather messes with my knees, but I'm fine.
Emily was supposed to take part in Anderson University's softball camp last June. The crash happened 2 days beforehand.
The day of the camp, I got an email from her mom saying that she'd been in a real bad accident, and I wasn't going to be able to make it.
AU didn't just refund the family's money. Coach Tommy Hewitt sent a T-shirt, a jersey, visited the family, asked them to come sit at a game.
Sometimes you get just a gut feel of something special is going on.
Doctors and counselors told Emily she might be homebound for a while. She proved them wrong.
I know that I got a big life ahead of me, and that God's always got me.
She told them no, she'd walk into school first day, and she did.
Not just walking, running, playing volleyball, getting ready for softball season. And now, throwing out the first pitch.
I'm really proud of her. I mean, she's came a long way. She's worked really hard just to get back to her dreams and goals, and so finally she gets to pursue them.
She's amazing. She's coming from a dad. She's my world. She's my inspiration.
And suddenly the TV went off, and I said, oh, I bet a tree fell.
Mary Lawson was right. A tree did fall, and not just one, but two.
In fact, a limb fell in front of our driveway after this tree fell.
This tree limb here split and fell onto the ground, and this massive tree was uprooted from its base from the heavy winds. With power lines wrapped around it, some neighbors took pictures next to the tree, shocked to see such a big tree on the ground. Mary Lawson has lived here since 1979 and says the damage is tough to witness so close to home.
This street had beautiful trees, which was one of the things that attracted us to it, and slowly they're dying.
This massive tree now lying in the road, blocking it completely, knocked out the power, but luckily no one was injured.
I mean, it's taken our power out, but when you think about people in Florida, you have to be kind of grateful.
Though caution tape is up and cones are on the ground, the neighborhood is grateful the damage wasn't worse. In Greenville, Aubrey Jackson, WYFF News 4.
Fifth graders Jamal Williams and Carter Snow are best buds. They were knitted together at A.J. Wittenberg Elementary School back in the second grade because of a tough situation.
When I defended him from the bullies, we had
started to become friends. Our moms met up. We had a couple of play dates, and
I'll probably never have a friend many friends as good as him.
Forever friend.
I was being bullied because I have autistic disorder, which causes me to see the world in an entirely different perspective.
Carter was chewing on a pencil because it's kind of what he does.
So everyone was making fun for that.
Bullying is not cool, seriously. You shouldn't bully someone just because they're different.
It would make me feel small and tiny, like no one cares about me or I'm just worthless.
I started to chew on my pencil, and instead of leaving him alone, they just came at me. But at least he was good.
Jamal stepped up and took the heat. Then, within a couple of days, almost the entire class stood in solidarity with Carter and Jamal and began chewing on their pencils.
It felt like everyone was standing up for me and caring about me.
Jamal's mom helped him put his story in a book, different but alike.
We don't need to look outside of A.J. Wittenberg for an inspiration. So we have one here.
School counselor Deborah Bloom found out about the whole thing when Jamal recently presented her with a check for $160 to buy materials to prevent bullying, money earned from his book sales.
We don't talk a lot about bullying at our school. We talk a lot about compassion. We talk about empathy. We talk about how to treat one another.
When you stick up for others, you can make a friend for life.
And one action could change all of that to being something bad to something good.
A.J. Wittenberg Elementary School uses parts of Jamal's book to help students learn about the power of empathy and compassion. They've also featured Jamal and Carter on their school news.